I never thought a single sentence could end a marriage, but looking back now, that's exactly what happened. My wife didn't slam a door or scream that she was done. She didn't cry or pack her bags in a rush. She smiled, grabbed her suitcase and said it so casually it almost sounded polite. "If you don't like it, you'll deal with it." Then she left for an entire week with the man she kept insisting was just a friend. My name is Aaron. I'm 36 years old, and until that moment, I believed patience was the same thing as strength. I believed that staying calm, being understanding, and giving space made me a good husband. What I didn't realize was that, in her eyes, my restraint had turned into permission. We had been married for 6 years. No kids yet. No huge financial struggles. On the outside, our life looked stable. Inside, though, something had shifted slowly, quietly. She had a coworker named Ryan. At first, he was just a name she mentioned in passing. Then he became a story. Then a daily presence. His jokes, his opinions, his advice. I noticed it, but every time I brought it up, she laughed it off. "You're being insecure," she'd say. "Not everything is about cheating." So I swallowed it. I told myself trust meant staying quiet. I told myself I didn't want to be that controlling husband. I ignored the late-night texts, the sudden change in how she dressed for work, the way she'd tilt her phone away when she smiled at it. The week before she left, things got worse. She was distant but oddly cheerful, like someone who had already made a decision and felt relieved by it. One night at dinner, I finally asked her directly if there was something going on between her and Ryan. She didn't get angry. That should have been my first warning. She just looked at me, almost amused, and said, "Why do you always assume the worst?" 2 days later, she told me she was going on a short trip. "Just a break," she said. "I need space." When I asked who she was going with, she didn't lie. She didn't even hesitate. "Ryan," she said. "We're just getting away for a bit." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. It never came. I told her that wasn't okay. I told her it crossed a line. That's when she said it. Calm. Detached. Almost bored. "If you don't like it," she shrugged, "you'll deal with it." That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not angry. Not loud. Just still. She packed her bag while I stood there, realizing I wasn't being tested anymore. I was being dismissed. The week she was gone was the longest of my life. Not because I missed her, but because the fog finally lifted. I replayed every conversation, every compromise, every time I chose peace over self-respect. I realized how often I had made myself smaller so she could feel bigger. She didn't call. She texted once, 3 days in, a photo of a beach sunset with the caption, "Hope you're okay." I didn't reply. Something strange happened in that silence. I slept better. I thought clearer. The anxiety I'd been carrying for months started to fade. For the first time, I asked myself a question I had avoided for years. What am I actually holding on to? By the time she came back, I had my answer. She walked in like nothing had happened. Sun-kissed. Relaxed. She dropped her bag by the door and started talking about the trip, about how much she needed it. Then she noticed the house felt different. Quieter. Colder. "What's wrong?" she asked, frowning. I looked at her and felt nothing. No rage. No desperation. Just clarity. "I'm done," I said. She laughed at first. Then she saw my face. "You're serious?" she asked. For once, I replied, "Yes." She tried to flip the script. She said I was overreacting. That nothing technically happened. That I was throwing everything away over my own insecurity. But the truth was simple. A wife who respects her husband doesn't leave for a week with an obvious lover and tell him to deal with it. I didn't yell. I didn't beg her to understand. I just told her she needed to pack her things and leave. This time, there was no casual smile on her face. No confidence. Just shock. She asked if we could talk about it later. I shook my head. "You already said everything that mattered," I told her. Watching her walk out felt nothing like the movies. It wasn't dramatic. It was peaceful. Like setting down a weight I'd been carrying for too long. People like to say the one who cares less has the power. That's not true. The one who respects themselves does. She thought my silence meant weakness. She thought I would always be there, always adjusting, always dealing with it. She was wrong. Losing her didn't break me. Losing myself almost did. And I promised I'd never make that mistake again.